This is Math Lesson 1.2. Today we're going to talk about rectangular arrays. Now you've been working with rectangular arrays probably since first grade, maybe even kindergarten, and you should be familiar with what these are. But let's review some things about rectangular arrays. First of all, they always make the shape of a rectangle, hence the name rectangular arrays. That means that each row will always have the same number of objects in it. Also, each column will have the same number of objects. For example, here we have an array. You can see here there are 8 total dots in the array. So this is an array for the number 8. We count our rows like this. Here's row 1, here's row 2. So it has 2 rows. The rows are always going across. Okay. We count our columns going up and down. Columns go up and down. So this array has 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. Oh my goodness, I spelled columns wrong. Let's fix that because that will drive me bonkers. There we go. Columns is kind of a funny word to spell. Okay, so when we make a rectangular array, the number of objects, or in this case dots, tells us what number that array is for. So this is for the number 8. We always count rows going across, columns going up and down. So this array has 2 rows and 4 columns. When you're naming an array, you always say the number of rows by the number of columns. So your first number is going to be the number of rows. And then we use a multiplication symbol. When we say it, we say the word by. And then the second number is always the number of columns. So if you have this array, which is the array that we just saw on the last page, 2 rows, 4 columns, it's spoken 2 rows of 4. Or you could say 2 by 4. It's a 2 by 4 array. Or this array has 2 rows of 4. We represent that array with the multiplication problem 2 times 4. Let's take a look at some examples. Okay, let's say we wanted to find all of the arrays for the number 12. Here are all of the arrays for the number 12. We've got a 1 by 12 array, which means there's 1 row of 12. So here we have 1 row with 12 dots in the row. The opposite of that one would be a 12 by 1, 12 rows of 1. So here we have 12 rows, there's only 1 dot in each row. Okay, this array here has 6 rows of 2. So we call it a 6 by 2 array. Its opposite is a 2 by 6 array, 2 rows of 6. Remember, that's the commutative property of multiplication. 6 times 2 is the same as 2 times 6. We know that. We know that we can flip it around in multiplication, still equals 12. But if we look at the array is just situated in a different way. A 6 by 2 array looks like this. A 2 by 6 array looks like this. And we can also make a 4 by 3 array for 12, 4 rows of 3. And we can make a 3 by 4 array, 3 rows of 4. Important to keep in mind, the dimensions of the arrays are all factors of 12. So 1, 12, 2, 6, 4, 3. We don't need to repeat them again. 3, 4, 2, 6, 12, 1, we've already said those. Those are all the factors of 12. And then also, we need to remember that each array has 12 total dots. If it's an array for the number 12, then it should have exactly 12 dots.